All right, hello everybody, and welcome to week 4 of show matches for Learning Fives. This is actually going to be our final show match of the season. Next weekend we have the tournaments. My name's Niberia. I'm joined by N-Step. N-Step, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Niberia?
Pretty great. We have our first rematch ever. Okay, probably not ever, but for this round of Learning Fives, we have our first rematch from week 2, I believe. We have Team Infamous on the blue side and D2Dance on the red side. So we're going to hopefully see how much these two teams have progressed, and I'm looking forward to it. Bands coming out, though, Wukong, Vi, and Syndra. I know at least two of those are just jungle bands, I believe.
The Wukong could be top lane as well. Even some people, some ambitious people playing at mid lane. Not really familiar enough to say, for sure where that Wukong ban is targeted. It's a little weird to see the Vi ban because last time these two teams met up, it was actually Jer the Bear playing Vi from D2D, and not Quarkle's playing it on the side of Team Infamous. So it's weird to see D2D banning that out. But the LeBlanc ban does make sense since Sol Invictus did play that in the second game that these two last matched off against each other.
Yeah, and when I believe 12-3. The Camille ban, not surprising at all. She's busted. The end.
Champion is still pretty good despite the nerfs in 7-3. So even though I don't believe that either of these top laners is really super invested in playing the champion, it is difficult to practice her in solo queue since she does end up banned so much. But yeah, it's just, even though nerfed quite strong still, so not a big shock to see her banned out.
Yep. All right. The Azir nerf. I can actually talk on this one. I'm excited. The Azir nerf is another mid lane ban. Sol Invictus practices it fairly extensively. Something else to note before we go into the rest of pick bans. D2Dance is not an LCS order. Jer the Bear is actually the jungler. These players are fairly new, so sometimes we run into situations where they can't swap picks, and then in that case we just say, do the best you can. So, Rengar lock in. That's
Yep,
exciting.
Rengar Lock-in did get nerfed, so his empowered Battle Roar, his W, no longer has that CC immunity for 1.5 seconds. It is just a cleanse. So one of the big things I noted when I was looking through the patch changes was that for skilled Rengar players, often it was mostly used as a cleanse because you usually want to use it after the CC hits you anyway because it does give you that healing based on the damage that you've recently taken. So usually CC comes with damage. There's very few moves in this game that CC you without dealing damage. So before, it was often better to use it as a cleanse anyway. So skilled players were already using it that way. Obviously, still missing out on the 1.5-second immunity of CC is a pretty big deal. But for super skilled players, it won't affect them as much. So we'll have to see how Quarkles does with this, or potentially maybe even seeing it go to Kid Clarkin in the top lane. I know that there are some people who really do like this Rengar in the top lane, although my understanding of it is that its matchup in the tanks is not very good. So I suspect it won't be going top lane into this Maokai.
Yeah, some interesting picks here for the red team, D2 Dance. Um, Oh, also, Kid Clarkin actually plays Rengar not Kid Clarkin, sorry, Quarkles actually plays Rengar fairly often, but that was pre-nerfs the last time I saw it, so we'll see if that comes out. But the Leona pick coming through, and the Maokai pick, that normally isn't surprising, end step, but Wormy is a very carry-oriented top laner. We've seen him only pick Fiora.
Yeah,
Uh,
last time these two teams met up, he did pick Fiora both games, and seemed like it didn't work out either game. In the second game he ended up 0-6, and the first one he ended up 1-2. So I do agree with to some extent. You gotta change things. If it's not working for you, try changing something. Maybe it'll go better some other way. So going to the most reliable, strongest tank in the meta, Maokai. Great champion for the top lane right here. And of course, the Leona is a little bit weird. Definitely not a meta pick right now, but can be quite strong with these utility carries because the synergy between Leona and these utility carries is, of course, since the utility carries bring their own CC, even though the utility carries tend to be a little bit lower damage than other AD carries in return for their utility or lower mobility, both in Ash's case. They do have their own CC, but with Leona, you can layer the CC super well. You can hit an Ashe into a Zenith Blade, into a Solar Flare, and just absolutely destroy someone before they're able to do anything, really. You can lock someone down for 3-4 seconds at a time, and that's much more than enough time than you need to kill someone 100-0.
Absolutely, and this is looking like a scary team from D2 Dance. We have a lot of CC coming out. We have two CCs from Maokai, not including the slow. We have two or three from Leona. We have Ash's Stun and her two slows. We have Oriana Shockwave and her Command Dissonance, I believe. So lots and lots of CC there on the
Yeah,
side of
we are
D2
seeing
Dance.
the Corki over here, though, for Team Infamous, a really strong meta mid lane pick that has really picked up in popularity over the past couple of patches for Sol Invictus. This Corki has sort of risen in popularity as something that's really strong for just early laning. It's really strong for wave clear. You have poke, you have sustained damage. It brings you magic damage, even though you can build Triforce, you build all these AD items. So even if you need to go Hex Drinker, you can go Hex Drinker. All that
Oh,
stuff is great. But this is the Alawi pick. That's a little weird. So that means this is most likely going to be a Maokai jungle and an Alawi top lane as the counter pick to this Poppy. So interesting to see that, but we'll have to see how this Alawi works out. So again, like we said last time, iWormy did pick the Fiora both games, and it didn't really seem to work out. But this is a different tank counter pick. Maybe this time it'll go a little bit better. We'll have to see how that lane matchup works out. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we will see these people start loading into games soon.
yep, absolutely. So that's going to be an exciting matchup. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm hoping that D2Dance can pull out a win or two because last time the score was 2-0 in the favor of Team Infamous. So let's see how much they've learned and how well they can adapt as we come into this series, the last Showmatch series of Learning Fives. See you then. All right, hello everybody, and welcome back. We're here at Learning Fives, Game 1 of the final series of Week 4, and the final series of the show matches between Team Infamous and Team D2Dance. My name's Nabiria, I'm joined by N-Step, but before I let him get a word in edgewise, we're going to introduce the teams. On the blue side, we have Team Infamous, with Kid Clarkin in the top lane, Quarkles in the jungle, Sol Invictus in mid, Ari Kya as AD carry, and Lol Rabbit as support. And for the side of D2Dance, we have Jer the Bear on Maokai jungle, Nex Eminus on support, Wingnut 0220 on Ashe AD carry, Feels Bardman in the mid lane on Orianna, and iWormy on Alawi top. N-Step, now that you can talk, how you doing?
You know, I'm great. Even not being able to talk for a whole minute of this game, now that we're in at 107, not going to keep my spirits down. We're seeing some interesting stuff. There's a Doran's Blade and Storm Raider's Surge on this Alawi. Typically speaking, you expect to see the Corrupting Potion from Alawi since her mana pool is quite constrained. And you also expect in tank matchups her to take Deathfire Touch since she really doesn't have a ton of damage, especially in the early to mid game before she starts building up to 2 items or so. To actually take out the tanks, which is why you go that Deathfire Touch to give you some extra damage. The Corrupting Pot helps you give you more skills so that you can actually wear them down over time. But this is a nice, this is definitely a heavy early cheese strat. You can get early kills with this Doran's Blade. So again, like I said earlier in Champ Select, we'll have to keep an eye on this matchup since there definitely is kill potential here for iWormy. And if Kid Clarkin's not careful, he definitely could go down at some point to this Alawi.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, we're going to see, well, it's not super interesting, but Quarkles is actually starting 3 health potions here instead of a refillable. Is this, I get the sense that this isn't standard, but I'm not sure.
Definitely not standard. The point of taking 3 health potions is it gives you a little bit better early game. In some sense, you can stay out for longer because you have more sustain on the first back. It's just a bit less efficient in terms of total sustain, because every time you back, you're essentially losing out on the sustain you could have gained if you'd gone the refillable potion. But especially early on, this Rengar, you can actually get a lot of early ganks in if you do go for this 3 health potion route. And you can do this on any champion, really, especially ones that don't have a lot of sustain. As we're seeing Hook and going wide here from Lol Rabbit. But
just a little bit, but
yeah.
Next Eminus is going to answer the Deadly Flourish from Ari Kya, enough to...
Yeah, nice Deadly Flourish, because we're seeing Sol Invictus go for a nice trade with the Thunderlords here in mid lane. Not really thinking this is going to go either way too big. Looks like a pretty close trade regardless.
The hook! Deadly Flourish and Death Sentence coming out from Lol Rabbit, and it looks like a flash heal away from Wingnut. Lol Rabbit is going to try and get some autos. Ari Kya flashing out to get the kill. First blood for Jin. Whew.
Yeah, nice flash there. It's definitely true, though, that Lol Rabbit could have flayed earlier and would have ended up saving Ari Kya's flash because Lol Rabbit waited so long on that flash, or sorry, on that flay. The flash was able to come out from Wingnut, and he was able to get some extra space where Ari Kya had to then flash in, but they're not going to be able to do anything to Nex Eminus under this turret. It's a little bit too early for tower dives, especially just 2v2. Even if Quarkles was there. So. Even if Quarkles was there, I don't think they're going to be able to do anything there. So far, Kid Clarkin is beating up on iWormy here in the top lane. He's already up 7 CS. Yeah, iWormy can clean up some under the... as we're seeing Quarkles with a nice cheeser in the jungle. He's up 2 levels. Jer the Bear very far behind. This is probably going to be a kill for Quarkles.
No. Oh, no. Kid Clarkin's going to get him with the Righteous Charge. Oh, the Flash Righteous Charge.
I don't think that flash was necessary, but certainly nice to just secure the kill, make sure there's no way Jer the Bear can respond, and he is going to be very far behind. He already fell behind in his jungle. He went for the early base to pick up the extra machete, which set him already fairly far behind in experience, as Lol Rabbit kind of going for some hooks, but minions walking up in the way. But set him behind in experience because he went for the early base. So he's probably thinking, oh, yeah, now I can clear my jungle just fine. I have both jungle items. I can, clear out. But then the hard cheese comes in. The Rengar comes, camps at the brush, and Kid Clarkin walks down. Really nice play here overall from Team Infamous. It's nice to have that set up when your top laner does have the push, when they do have the advantage. And you can see Kid Clarkin did give up his CS lead for that play. He actually is only, he just lost the CS lead. He's even in CS now when he did have a lead of about, I believe, 5 CS before that. Mm-hmm. So nice when you're able to turn your advantages into something for your team rather than just keep them as advantages for yourself. And that's definitely a nice play by Infamous there.
Absolutely. And Jer the Bear is actually going to reveal himself there by using the Scrying Plant. Something that I'm wondering, though, is if this Maokai pick has gone this poorly without interference. I'm wondering what strengths it brings that are, I guess, enough of a strength to not pick something else. Because Zach was still available. He fulfills a similar role, but with higher engage potential. And oh, hold on, Jared the Bear coming down for a gank. Archeon and Low Rabbit don't expect this. The Deadly Flourish coming out and the Lantern. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the strengths there. You can see, though, the Maokai simply walking into lane blows a flash, right? You know, that's all he had to do. He didn't even have to get close to him. All he had to do was present the threat. And this Leona here is a strong champion to set up ganks, especially when you have already a utility carry with a big slow. You know, there's a lot of potential CC chaining when you consider, you know, the Maokai route, the Twisted Advance, when you consider the Ash Volley and the passive slow, the Frost shots, and then when you consider the combo from Leona. The full combo from Leona provides quite a bit of extra CC and damage as well. So there's a lot of potential for CC there as Iwerme getting the W onto Kid Clarkin, but not much going to come of it since Kid Clarkin will dodge away from those tentacle slams.
Yeah, and it looks like Jared the Bear is still having a little bit of trouble clearing the jungle. Maokai has terribly high mana costs and terribly low mana sustain, and he doesn't really do anything without at least a Bammy Cinder in terms of clear, so he's going to be a little behind. But I want to bring up a point that I think is fairly important as we see some trading going on in the top lane. This is one of those adaptations I really like to see from these teams, where they work around the strengths of their players and not the strengths of like picks. Because Iwerme is a very like carry-oriented top laner, so the coach for D2Dance said, okay, let's work with that and get the jungler on a typical, oh, hold on, Death Sentence going out by Lol Rabbit, and next Eminence is going to try and stop it with the Zenith Blade. It looks like it's going to result in nothing. But yeah, just playing around your player's strengths. I think that's pretty cool.
It was an interesting champ select ploy where they take the Maokai and say, oh yeah, we're going over to the tank top laners. Like, you've converted us, you've shown us the way. This is what we're doing now. You know, the meta is all right as well. Wingnut's probably going down.
Wingnut's probably going to go down. Flash is not up, but heal was already burned, and Arikiel got another kill as Iwerme is going to get dove here in the top lane. Is going to go down as well. Soul Invictus going on to Phil's Bardman, uses Exhaust, and Phil's Bardman flashes away and barely survives. Whew.
Yeah, I think maybe Soul Invictus could have flashed for that kill, but it would have been pretty close. So, you know, certainly understandable that he didn't want to go for that. At this point, Phil's Bardman's able to chug some potions so that he can stay in lane without getting killed by a couple of rockets. But yeah, I do like the bait and switch in Champ Select where D2D did try, you know, say they were, oh, you know, here's the Maokai pick, and then they swap into the jungle. The issue is that Maokai is not really a traditional flex pick, as Soul Invictus just picking up the solo kill. And at this point, every single lane for D2D, and even the jungle, if you really consider that to be a lane, is fairly far behind. And it's going to be pretty hard at this point for D2D to come back. They're already down 3k gold at 8 minutes. That's a pretty substantial lead at this point. And yeah, it's certainly possible for them to come back, but it'll be pretty hard. And it's going to have to start with something going on, probably in this bottom lane, I would guess. Although, you know, some really unfortunate things have happened. You can see that Wingnut feels so far behind that he actually sold his Doran's Blade to purchase the BF sword. That's how desperate he is for power spikes. And that's, you know, when you're doing that kind of thing, that's when you know that you're really far behind.
I kind of like that adaptation, though. I get that it's not necessarily the best choice, but at least then you have some sort of trading power.
Unfortunately, it's definitely not worth it. Doran's Blade is just too inefficient of an item. He should have just gone pickaxe, and we're seeing
package
next
coming out,
Eminence and
special
Wingnut.
delivery. Wingnut is going to go down here, it looks like, and next Eminence got the flash out, but no such luck for Wingnut.
And man, I feel real bad about this one. This feels like we're kind of watching, you know, sort of like a lamb being led to the slaughter. At this point, you know, with this kind of lead at this early into the game, it's especially with you know, matchups like these, a lot of really snowbally matchups like this bottom lane matchup. When Jhin gets ahead of Ashe and he's building lethality, he just does so much damage to her. It's so easy for this Jhin to just take out the Ashe. Like even the Leona at this point really doesn't have a ton of armor, especially when her Eclipse is not on. She won't be able to withstand all of this lethality, and Kid Clarkin can even just go into Iwerme under the tower, and there's nothing Iwerme can do about it. His ultimate doesn't do anything.
Porkal's going in on the Phil's Bardman, getting burst incredibly hard. Tries to blow Shockwave, doesn't quite get it out. And
yeah, the Shockwave doesn't even complete, and there's just so little that D2D can do at this point. They're so far behind. And really, like, All right, so let's just focus on the ways they could get back into this game. If they get some
Oh.
kind of miracle kill here, like right here, Iwormy could maybe.
Oh, the flash out. Maybe he's going to take him, but nope. Kid Clarkin somehow surviving through that.
No, unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to turn it at this point. Kid Clarkin already has 2 kills. He's picked up a pretty substantial lead. You can see in terms of just itemization, he has the Bombay Cinder and the Chain Vest. Just to the Phage, Doran's Blade, and Longsword. Of course, he also has boot level 1 boots and the Corrupting Potion. But
he's going to go for the
Iwormy's
dive
going to
here.
get.
I've seen it a lot before, and he's going to get the... He loves doing that.
Yeah, the Courage of the Colossus shield coming back up, so he just, even if it didn't come up, he probably would have had that kill, no problem, would have been able to tank an extra tower shot. Jer the Bear coming in for the top lane here, but Kid Clarkin in plenty of safety here, plenty of distance away. Maybe when Iwormy completes his Black Cleaver, maybe he can do something, but I really doubt it. I mean, this is just really painful to watch.
Yeah, would it be correct to say that one way they could get back in would be team fighting for D2Dance? Because they have a lot of CC, they have a lot of utility from their carry, they have 2 great AoE ultimates from Orianna and Alawi. So if they get like just the right engage, maybe they can somehow recover.
Well, any team really, if you get the miracle team fight, and you have an Orianna on your team, you could say, all right, with the perfect situation, you get the 5-man shockwave, you get the 5-man dissonance, you get the 5-man attack, right afterwards, all those things combining. Maybe they could do it.
Rabbit with these magnetic death sentences is going to pop ultimate as well, and it looks like Wingnut's going to have to go out, but the curtain call's coming out. Next Eminence is going to have to body block this, but doesn't get there quite in time. DFT going to take him out, and Next Eminence is getting a little low. Not low enough. Ooh, a flash death sentence from Low Rabbit. It's going to land.
Hook.
Jeez.
Yeah, really nice flash death sentence. Unfortunately, not enough follow-up there. The curtain call and the deadly flourish already used, so no way for Arikia to follow up on that play. Even though it was quite nice, I suppose really at the end of the day, probably not a great play since all he ended up happening was he burned his flash for nothing. But still nice to see, and at this point they can really afford to take those kind of risks because they're so far ahead. They don't need to, but they can do stuff like that, and Iwormy just isn't going to be able to 1v1 Kid Clarkin here because he's down 2 levels in so many items.
Oh, Quarkles. Oh, that was just mean, buddy. Oh, the escort. That is cruelty.
Stabbed right in the face by the Rengar. The Knife Cat comes up and murders him. Kid Clarkin would have been totally fine there on his own, but at this point, when the Poppy gets this kind of lead, 40 CS up, so many kills, completed the Sunfire Cape before the Black Cleaver comes in, I'm sure could even go back and buy, let me see how much gold he's got. He's got 1,200 gold right now, so could easily buy another Giant's Belt, could buy, Ninja Tab, he could really do whatever he wants at this point. And on the other side, there's just really not much Iwormy can do at this point. He's just lost the lane too hard to Clarkin now to be effective.
Yeah. It was so funny watching that fight between Kid Clarkin and then Quarkles coming in, because you could see the conversation they were having. Hey, do you want it? No, you take it. Oh, hold on. And it looks like they're going to have that discussion again as Quarkles is getting caught out, or so Jer the Bear thinks. But Jer the Bear looks like he's going to have the flash over the wall. Iwormy is getting in. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to go down onto Kid Clarkin. Kid Clarkin's clone has been pulled by Alawi, but nothing's going to come of it. Jeez. Jer the Bear getting really low.
Yeah, pretty rough there. So going back to just the ways that D2D can get back into the game, I mean, obviously, again, like I said, it's going to be very difficult and near impossible at this point with a 8K gold lead coming in for Team Infamous now. But if they were going to get in, what they need to start doing is they need to just try and set up plays where there's no way that they're outnumbered, where they clearly have 1 or 2 more people, and just try and either bait people or hit maybe a decent range Ash Arrow or something like that. And they have to stop getting people caught in side lanes. Iwormy there taking 1 million damage for free. Well, maybe not for free. In return for the package that was probably going to time out anyway from Soul Invictus. Just not really what you want. You need to be playing a lot more conservatively. And this is what they need to do here. This is what they want to do. They have the Maokai from Jer the Bear who can set up a play with the CC. And then they have the Orianna and the Alawi as damage backup. Unfortunately for them, Soul Invictus reads the play. They have some ward coverage and just backs off. Very easily just backs off. And they need to have some way to get into position where they know that they have more people than Team Infamous, but it's going to be so hard for them to get that kind of fight.
Yeah. You just look at the items coming out, and every single lane is ahead. Just so far. Even the supports have a visible item difference, and that's how you know a game is really just gone out of control.
Yeah, and at this point, at this point, a one-person advantage might not even be enough. Team Infamous is so far ahead that even if you have an extra support or you have an extra Leona in the fight, that might not be enough. They probably need 2 extra people, so they need to catch them in like a 3v5 situation, something like that. It looked like that tentacle slam actually did no damage, but I'd have to watch that one again to see for sure. But regardless, it just they have to catch them in such a man advantage or catch them in such a way that they get a CC chain onto one target and immediately take them out before they can react. And they can do that with this Ashe and this Leona, but
hold on, curtain call coming out. Wingnut getting stunned out by the heroic charge. They're just gonna leave him there as the curtain call last shot almost misses, but the third one was the one I thought was the last, and it looks like nothing else is gonna come of that. But that's just a 4-man turret dive, no big deal.
Yep. And like I said, they do have these CC chains that they could potentially get off, and they could maybe get a kill with them. But it's hard to do that when the whole of Team Infamous is just planning, rotating around the map, trying to set up plays on them, forcing on turrets, and it's so hard for D2D to respond to them because they're just behind in every single way they could be behind at this point. It's so hard for them to anticipate, which turret they're going to go to next, where they're going to show up, because all the lanes are pushed up, all the lanes are ahead. It's so hard for them to do anything.
Yeah, I'm just struggling. Far be it for me to assume that this game is absolutely over. Period. Because I've seen some crazy comebacks. I've seen comebacks from being triple inhib. So I'm not going to go that far. But assuming that this game continues to go poorly for D2Dance, what necessarily do you think was the most impactful mistake? My guess is going to be the Maokai getting behind at just the first clear.
Yeah, I think the Maokai first clear here was just a total disaster for D2D. The issue being that not just that he got killed at the buff, but getting killed at your buff is recoverable, even though it is very unfortunate. The issue is that he went for the early base to get the extra jungle item so that he could jungle at full HP. The thing is that sets you fairly far behind in experience, and then when you also die at your buff, then he gets set behind in experience again, and then you just get substantially behind in pressure. Even though he then did have a nice walk into bottom lane to burn the flash off of Low Rabbit, it just didn't really end up mattering. He didn't have any relevant pressure. He didn't get anything else besides that flash, and he never followed up on that flash being down. Even though both of the flashes from Team Infamous's bottom lane were down, he never then followed up onto the bottom lane, even when he had his own flash to just flash twist and advance them. So it just felt like even though he was behind, he never really made any good plays to get back into the game. And even when he did have the one opportunity he did have to try and get his team back in the game, especially in bottom lane, as we're seeing the flash hook here, he just didn't take it. And yeah, Cade Clarkin's here on the backside, and the current call is coming out.
Current call is going to come out. Jay the Bear getting a little bit chunked out by this. Oh, the last one going on to Wingnut for wave clear. Oh, a flash from the death sentence from Lol Rabbit. Every time I watch Lol Rabbit play, I just have to compliment the skill shots. And Wingnut is probably going to go down here to Kid Clarkin, the point blank keeper's verdict. And it looks like iWormy is diving Quarkles, and successfully. It looks like Jay the Bear is somehow still alive. Sol Invictus gonna have to flash out here, but in return gets Jared the Bear, and Arikia flashing in for the 4th shot. This is, jeez. Just when you think that D2Dance might have a chance to get back in from that fight.
Well, at least, at the very least, in terms of morale.
Ooh, a 2-man shockwave from Feels Barman. This might be the turnaround. Next Eminem is getting pretty low, but not dead yet. And Feels Barman.
They just don't have the people to turn it around. They're going to be able to, even if they walk away here with nothing, they still broke the base. They've got the inhibitor turret down. Even if they don't get this inhib, which they might not end up getting, which iWormy's really trying to prevent it, as Fields Bartman does get chain CC'd down. And the inhibitor goes down as well. But hey, at the very least for morale for D2D, they stopped the perfect game. Up until 30 seconds ago, they had no kills, no turrets, no advantages anywhere. But they did get the solo kill up in the top lane from iWormy onto Quarkles, and then they got the kill onto Sol Invictus in the mid lane over that inhibitor fight. Maybe went a little bit too deep, got hit by the shockwave. And then, now they've pressured them out. Even if they lost an inhib, hey, they did something, right? And that's better than what was going on before, which is just a total slaughter. Even if it is still a massacre. Over 10k gold, almost 11k gold at this point up.
Yeah, at almost 20 minutes. Something that I was going to note, but it's already been erased. Jared the Bear had a CS lead for a while there. So he was farming up while Quarkles was just running around the map willy-nilly trying to get kills and stuff, which I think was the right play, especially as Rengar. You want to do that. But,
Well,
oh, hold
it is
on.
also worth noting the CS in the jungle is a little deceptive, of
Oh,
course, but as,
Iwormy getting the
yeah.
wall.
Iwormy not really able to do much. It's just, with the Black Cleaver at this point in the game, just not really doing much against a
Oh,
Corki who's
man.
almost 2 items. And these hooks are just
Jesus.
magnetic. Low Rabbit really picking this up. And I think a lot of the advantage for uh, Team Infamous does come from Low Rabbit's hooks in the bottom lane, getting Arikia ahead. Of course, you can also say, hey, Soul Invictus solo killed his lane. Kid Clarkin made that nice roam play. Quarkles had that nice invade. Yeah, everyone's playing well, but I think Low Rabbit, does definitely get the MVP of this game for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely having a lot of hooks, especially useful in the mid game, as that stun almost looked like it hit there, but didn't quite get it.
Yeah, I thought it did, but this is just sort of the delay from Kid Clarkin being like, okay, my team's getting top inhib, you can fight me as much as you want. I'll still kill you as well, but you can fight me, it's fine. And as
since this is a fairly behind Maokai that's also jungling, pretty easy for Kid Clarkin to pick up that kill. Probably didn't even need to flash, but just goes for it for safety anyway. And they are on the Nexus turrets now, so going to be taking out one of those. Probably the second Nexus turret coming in as
teleport coming
Kid
in.
Clarkin teleports from about 20 feet away. Coming in with
maybe you should have base first.
Yeah, I think
Ooh,
basing first there before the TP would have made sense.
Coming out. It looks like a 3-man shockwave. This might be the play, and it looks like Soul Invictus and Arikia are going to go down. This is going to be the reverse ace from Iwormy and D2Dance. Well, almost. Ooh, Wingnut. Wingnut dying to a super minion. That was
Hey, those super minions, they got to be respected. They hit very hard, especially this early in the game. These super minions, they have scaling stats, but their bases are very high, and so when there's base stats are so high that early in the game, if you take out an inhib before about 25 minutes, the super minions are actually very strong. If you take out an inhib at around 10 minutes, the super minions are actually about as strong as a champion at that point, at least auto attack wise.
yeah.
They do so much damage and they're so difficult to kill. And the same is sort of true here, although it's obviously not as extreme since it is a bit later into the game.
Odd question. I know it's weird to critique the build of people who are 12k down by 20, but I think it's important for learning experiences for everyone. Do you think Essence Reaver is the right second item here for Wingnut? Because I think you'd want the Infinity Edge because it just straight up gives more damage. Like, it doesn't matter how often your ult comes out if you're the only damage.
I definitely agree with that. I think that it's just so hard to, like, when you're this far behind, I don't really think that your build matters as much, but at the same time, like, if you were going to come back, I think the comeback would have to start with a lot of damage coming from Wingnut, while a really strong like shockwave into distance came from Fields Bardman. Something like that, some crazy combination like that, maybe a 2 or 3 man solar flare from Nex Eminus, a really nice twisted advance from Jared the Bear. I don't know, some crazy sequence of events like that is how they would get back into the game, and the more damage that Wingnut does, the better for that play.
Heroic charge onto Phil's Bardman. Keeper's Verdict is going to come out here as the curtain call was blown. Alawi not getting knocked up by the Keeper's Verdict. Not sure what happened there, but Iwormy is probably going to go down here as well. Quarkles died on the back line, diving in far too far. It's a 4v4 without Quarkles, who does a lot of damage. Soul Invictus getting dove onto by Jared the Bear, but Jared the Bear is alone on 3. Next Eminence decides to join him, but I don't think that was the right decision. Jared the Bear getting incredibly low here. Dies eventually. Solari shield not quite enough.
4 super minions on the Nexus already.
Yeah, this is going to be the game. So, very clean game 1. Ooh, flash death sentence. That would have been a very dead Wingnut about half a second later.
Yeah, really nice play there from Lil Rabbit on this Thresh. I expect it to be banned next game. What about you?
Absolutely. I want to say this. I expect 2 support bans and a LeBlanc ban. I expect Morgana, Thresh, and LeBlanc to be banned. Because I think those are the 3 most impactful picks I've seen from this team, with maybe the exception of Kid Clarkin's Poppy. Because those, I think, are really strong. Lil Rabbit's line skill shot accuracy on those 2 champions is so incredibly high that you're just handicapping yourself by not picking one away or banning the other away or something.
Yeah, and then at the same time, when you do say the other strong pick is the Poppy is very replaceable, right? You can swap in a Maokai or a Nautilus, and those are relatively similar, right? So it's not as good of a ban, I think, in that regard, that you can just ban the whole thing out with just one ban. I think you need 2 or 3 bans to take that whole thing out.
Yeah, fair point. But we're going to be going on break. That's game one going over to Team Infamous. We'll see if D2Dance can bring it back in the next one. Be back in a few. All right, hello everybody, and welcome back. We are here in Champ Select for Game 2 of D2Dance versus Team Infamous on Week 4 of the show matches for Learning 5s. Again, this is the last series of the night, and this is the second game, so get hyped. End step, are you hyped?
Oh yeah, I'm hyped, and I am
All
ready to
right.
see D2D fire back and see what they've got in store for Team Infamous here. They just got absolutely stomped. That was a complete slaughter, and I want to see what they've got to respond with.
I want to see some revenge. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh yeah, we always love an underdog story, and now they're 0-3 against Team Infamous at this point, since they did lose the two games when these teams did originally meet in week 2. So it would be a really nice end to the show matches for D2D if they were able to pick up a win here. So we'll have to see what they're going to do. They've banned out the Darius, they've banned out the LeBlanc, and on the side of Team Infamous, they've banned out the Syndra. So not anything too shocking here. The LeBlanc ban probably the most anticipated one, since that is
Yeah.
something that Sol Invictus has played and been very successful on in this matchup before.
I'm okay. I'm a little confused about the Darius ban, personally.
Yeah, that seems really weird, since iWormy is the one that keeps trying to pick these tank counters, and Kid Clarkin seems absolutely fine to just keep picking the tanks themselves. And Darius really is just a tank counter in the current meta. That's the whole purpose of him is to just, hey, I'm going to pick this into your Poppy, your Nautilus, your Maokai, and get to 5 stacks. Hook them in, dunk them, and get a huge lane advantage, and then start rolling into these team fights with a big lead and dunking on people and getting triple kills. That's the idea, at least. Doesn't always work out that way, but that's the plan. And that seems really weird to ban it out from D2D, because D2D are the ones who are playing those kind of champions like Alawi and Fiora as well.
Yeah. Uh, who? The Zac ban, okay, that makes sense. The Yasuo ban, that one also makes sense. That's a target ban against Wormy, and we're finally seeing the Wukong pick here by Jer the Bear. He actually has a heck of a lot of games on it. I think it was like something, I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 100, but it's been 2 weeks since I last checked the fact sheet, so I'm not sure the exact number, but pretty high. I'm excited to see what he can do on it.
Yeah, let's see what he can do. And this is the champion that was banned out last game. And I suspect, I don't have the bans noted down for their earlier meetings, but I suspect since he didn't play it in their first matches, he probably had it banned out against him in the first matches as well. So this is going to be the first time he's going to get his hands on the monkey. Quarkles does get the Rengar again, but it didn't feel like it was super oppressive in game one. It felt like, really any early game, any jungler who has early game damage could have done the same thing that Quarkles did to get his big lead there, which was go for the early game cheese at the red buff, surprise the Maokai, who was level 2, to his level 4, jump on him, call in the top laner even for the extra CC, just jump on him, kill him, get a huge lead, take away the red buff. I believe counter jungled 1 or 2 more camps after that, and then just walk away with a huge XP lead.
Yeah. To be fair, Quarkles did what he did fairly well, but I agree with you. I don't necessarily think it was the Rengar pick that did it. We're seeing Leona again, and the Twitch from Wingnut, actually fairly successful the last time we saw it, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, he did play it in the first game of the week 2 match. And it didn't seem like he did that poorly on it. So it's something that could be decent. I don't believe it was, yes, he was laning with the Karma that time. So a bit more safe in lane, a bit of a safer lane, the Twitch Karma as opposed to the Twitch Leona, which is a very aggressive lane that does need to play up to be successful, I think. So we'll see how that works out for them, since it did seem like they got definitely far behind 2v2 in the lane before. So we'll see what Arikia and Lol Rabbit have in store for them today.
Yeah, we'll see. What do you think it's going to be? Before it's locked in. Quickly. Oh, darn.
Well, I mean, Tristana did just get buffed, so it wouldn't be shocking to see her here, but I don't know if they're actually going to go for this. I mean, I think based on just past performance, it would be a little bit more sensical for REK to go back to the Jhin or the Ezreal, maybe even the Caitlyn, which, again, those are all things that he's played in this matchup and won with before. But the Tristana is something that is quite, well, maybe not, maybe I shouldn't say quite strong, but has just been substantially buffed. So the rapid fire attack speed steroid now lasts 7 seconds instead of 5, which really seems crazy when you're playing with it. You know, that doesn't sound like a huge buff, but if you do see that in action in game, it does feel really crazy how long the attack speed lasts, and the uptime is quite strong. I believe the uptime now is pretty close to 50% with 0 CDR. So that does mean that Tristana does have very high late game DPS. So something that does provide a lot of the DPS that will be lacking from something like an Olaf and a Rengar late game if they do go for the normal tankier builds you expect.
Yep, and it looks like Cassiopeia and Camille coming out for the side of D2Dance. Not terribly surprising, both are incredibly strong picks. Camille is obnoxious, but I'm gonna stop hopping on that train before I sound like even more of a broken record. As we see the Azir locked in for Sol Invictus, let's see how that goes.
Yeah, a lot of stuff here that was banned out last game. The Camille, the Azir, the Wukong, lots and lots of picks which were banned out in the last game. And then, of course, also the Rengar, and I believe the Twitch, also some things that were banned out in the earlier games from week 2. So a lot of power picks going through here, or maybe not power picks, but it's just stuff that was high priority for these teams that they felt they needed to ban out in some of the earlier games. So we'll have to see if their bans end up having better value in these games, or if these power picks that they banned out ended up, going off and carrying the game or having huge impact. So we'll see how the pick and ban phase did work out once we get into game.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it personally, and much like Lod, I'm excited to see Tristana. So we'll come back in about 3 minutes, and see you then for the final show match of this Learning 5 session. Alright, well, that game loaded in incredibly quickly. Anyways, welcome to Game 2 of the final series of show matches here at Learning Fives between Team Infamous on the red team and D2Dance on the blue. We've seen a 3-0 so far from Team Infamous over the two series that these two teams have. Let's see if they can continue that or if they get D2 derailed by their opponents. And end step, now you can cringe at that horrible, horrible pun.
Hey, look, at least I get to talk within 40 seconds this time instead of just at 102 like last time.
So I'm cutting it down.
Moving it up. The intro has gotten cut down by 20 whole seconds this time. If you keep going at that pace, in a few games, I'll be talking at 1 minute next time. So we'll see how this turns out. Didn't see any particularly interesting keystones at this time. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but does look like we are seeing a standard bottom side start from both junglers, assuming that they don't move up. About right now is when they'd have to start moving to the other side. One red ward, sort of an invade-ish ward, but they could have easily gotten that red ward onto the actual red buff for seeing Jared the Bear start. Team Infamous didn't go quite deep enough to do that, though. Maybe didn't feel confident in it. And yeah, it doesn't really matter a whole lot since they'll probably know that Jared the Bear is probably starting bottom side anyway.
Yeah, so nothing too exciting coming out from the level 1, but something fairly exciting coming out in the top lane. Olaf, I am so excited. I have no idea what it does now. I remember that it used to be good. It used to be incredible, and then Voyboy played it, and then it got nerfed into oblivion, and then the mini rework or whatever on Ragnarok, and then it was just kind of okay, and we haven't really seen it since. So what are your predictions on how this will go?
Well, most thing that I'm wondering is why is he not just going hard at level 1? One of the big things with Olaf top that has, that was true before, is still true, probably always will be true, is that he has a ridiculous level 1 with the ability to chain axe someone to both slow them down and do insane DPS to someone. And also the fact that you get huge amounts of attack speed for being low if they try to fight back. I'm not really sure why Kid Clarkin didn't just ghost and walk into iWormy there at level 1 to force out the flash, because he hit an axe, right? As soon as that happens, you can say, all right, he's slowed. I can, I've done a bunch of damage to him. I know I'm going to hit the chain slow, but Lil Rabbit going up for this hook.
Oh, the backwards hook. Nobody was expecting that. Lil Rabbit getting a bunch of poison stacks down. Heal is going to have to be blown here by Ari Kya. It was a cute play, but it didn't quite work out for them. Oh, hold on. Zenith Blade coming in. Lil Rabbit tries to fly away, but doesn't get it in time. Lil Rabbit continuing to stay pretty low here.
Yeah, so what you'll typically see really good Thresh players do is you can actually flay the Leona out of her Zenith Blade, which is what it looked like Lil Rabbit was going for there, but didn't quite get it. It was a little bit slow on the play, so missed it by a little bit. But regardless of that, as we're seeing Jared the Bear going into Kid Clarkin here, maybe they'll pick this up.
He's going to go down. A flash precision protocol from iWormy. He dodges the tactical sweep, and Jared the Bear is going to have to E forwards and take it.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nice set of dodges there from Kid Clarkin, but just playing a little bit too far up. Again, like I said, one of the reasons why you look for, we're seeing the hook go wide for Lil Rabbit this time, but one of the reasons why you see the Olaf go super hard at level 1 is because, not just because he has tons of damage and you will out-trade pretty much everyone at level 1, but also because it's fairly safe to do so, right? The jungler's not going to come gank you at level 1, right? It's just not going to happen. So it's super safe, right? Whereas there, he was playing super far up in a situation where not only did he not necessarily out-trade, his Wingnut gets hooked.
Going down on the Wingnut. Wingnut's probably going to die here. Heal is blown. Ari Kya, not going for it. All right. Continue your point about Olaf.
But he's just playing super far up in a position where not only is he more likely to get ganked, he doesn't even necessarily out-trade the Camille, especially when the Camille starts with the Doran's Blade to the Corrupting Potion. So he has to take trades where he can sustain back up and utilize the Corrupting Potion to its maximum effect.
Oh, Death Sentence gonna land on the next Eminus, but Ari Kya not quite ready for it.
Yeah, Lil Rabbit was out of mana there, so he couldn't go in and flay. I believe he was about 20 mana short for the flay. So despite the fact that he has leveled up now, so now he does actually have the mana to do so, but iWormy just going in for the technical sweep, getting a little bit of damage on Kid Clarkin. Noteworthy here, Kid Clarkin does still have a very substantial CS lead. Obviously, there's a slightly bigger wave for iWormy to pick up, but he still will be ahead as iWormy misses that hook shot there. Definitely can't be doing that if you want to be effective on this Camille. By the way, one thing I should note, the mastery on Kid Clark in here is Warlord's Bloodlust as opposed to the Fervor of Battle, which is what you normally expect, or the Grasp of the Undying. I did say there were no weird masteries. I did forget to mention that one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily weird or just one of those personal choice things, because I feel like Fervor is almost the undisputed best, but aside from that...
Yeah, I do agree. I think Fervor is the optimal thing, or Grasp the Undying in harder matchups where you don't expect to get in as many auto attacks. But unfortunately, we're not going to have the opportunity to talk to him. Not like we're doing any interviews. Jared the Bear coming in here, but he's very low. Kid Clarkin
Oh,
could
geez,
easily
Kid
turn
Clarkin
this
might
onto him.
see it and then turn. Oh, Jared the Bear, that was not the right play. Gonna have to flash out after Eing in.
Yeah, giving over that 25 clone gold to Kid Clarkin, and he might even hit this axe onto Jared the Bear. Will he check the brush? Okay, he gets the kill. Will he get the
Warlords?
Yep, the Warlord's Bloodlust coming up big. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, you have to ask, he could have just easily done that with his W and for the extra lifesteal at low HP rather than to the Warlords. But still, cool to see as the hook goes slightly wide onto the stealth wingnut. Almost there, though. Low Rabbit almost did have that hook. But
oh, RK's
yeah,
going to
nice
get
play.
Caught out here, possibly. Oh, jeez. Does Nex Eminence not have Zenith Blade up right now?
It doesn't look like he's willing to risk it. I mean, he doesn't want to miss the skill shot, and he is fairly low. So if he does go in and it doesn't, they don't get the kill instantly, it will be likely that either Wingnut or Nex Eminence will get focus fired down by the bottom lane and go down. As Quarkle's taking a little bit of damage, but able to heal it back up with that Battle Roar. So pretty nice.
So this is an interesting play that we've seen 2 games in a row now, right? Quarkles comes down early to the red side, tries to catch out the jungler while his bot laners are shoved up so that he doesn't have to worry about getting caught out and killed by the bot lane. Also, that was a great lantern. That was
I would
awesome.
say it was really a bit of a different decision there from Quarkles, because even though you could say, oh, it's an early red side invade, it's a very different timing. This is much later than the red side invade from last game. You can see even just from levels, Quarkles is a whole level up from where he was last game when he did make that invade. He's level 5 as opposed to level 4. And really, that was more of an opportunistic invade, I would expect. Whereas the first one, I think, was more of a planned out idea where he thought that he did actually think that Jared the Bear would probably be on his red there at that point in time. Thing is, had Jared the Bear not based, he actually would have likely been on the red, but he would have been level 3 instead of level 2. As we're seeing Jared the Bear come in with the stealth here, but not going to be getting anything, and did reveal himself there. So Team Infamous does know that he's on the bottom side of the map now.
Yeah, personally, I feel Jared the Bear's pain here. I feel like Wukong in the jungle, gets a lot better after 6 and a lot better after some items, because the clear is it's just mighty rough sometimes, depending on your runes and masteries.
I mean, I agree the clear can be rough. It's also just that Wukong is really a snowball jungler. And not to say that he's fallen behind, but he just hasn't really gotten ahead yet. It's not that he's not doing fine. It's, he's 1-1. He has even CS with the enemy jungler. He's hitting 6 at a fairly, maybe late compared to what normal junglers you would expect. But at a reasonable time in this game. Nothing too shocking, but Wukong, when he's not ahead, just doesn't feel the same as that snowbally Wukong that pops out of the brush and 100 zeros you with his EQR. So that full combo does quite a bit of damage. As this blue buff might even be going over to Soul Invictus, it looks like.
Guys, team.
Yeah, so kind of weird. They're gonna end up giving it over to Jared the Bear. They could have just taken the blue, but trying to give it to Soul Invictus, they end up resetting the buff, and then they get nothing. So that was a little weird to see from Team Infamous. So definitely not the same level of early game lead. They are ahead, but only by about 600 gold here is. Oh, the axe steal from Olaf.
Quarkles is probably going to die here to his red buff. That's also funny.
Yeah, and if he'd been a little bit faster there, he actually could have killed the buff, or he could have healed himself with his Battle Roar to save himself. So he did have the empowered ability there up. And Jared the Bear is trying to get a cheese kill on Kid Clark here. I don't think what he wants.
This is what you want to do, Jared the Bear. This has gone poorly for you last time. Tactical sweep coming out, but Kid Clark is CC immune. We'll see if the hookshot wall dive comes out to try and stun him now that his Ragnarok is off. But Iwormy just looks like he's trying to walk it out. That's not going to happen. Kid Clark has red buff. And it's
where's the hook shot as we're seeing the Shurima shuffle?
Going for the Shurima shuffle. One of the things that I've noted as Soul Invictus nearly goes down, has to pop barrier, and the poison stacks might be enough to take him out. One of the things that I've noticed from Soul Invictus's play, because I've actually watched this team scrim before, out of pure curiosity for what they look like not in this environment, and I saw a trend that I'm hoping not to see for the rest of this game, but I'm already seeing. Soul Invictus has this tendency to see the Shurima shuffle and then just go in regardless. It's like, oh, I can get a shuffle here, but there's two guys under tower who can stun you and kill you, but I can get the shuffle. And it's just like the kind of unbridled aggression that we see a lot from these levels of players that I'm hoping will not, for their sake, won't bite them in the butt, but for D2Dance, that's probably what they're looking for.
Yeah, well, we'll see. So far, the Azir has been effective, although you could question the build for sure. This does look like he's going for the fast 40% CDR Morellos into the Nashor's Tooth build. Maybe, the ordering there might be a little different. You could really buy whichever one he wants first. I don't really like this style of build. I think that when you do play Azir, the attack speed at this point in the current meta is less important. Arike getting
Blade coming out,
the rocket jump.
Arike
As
with
Wingnut still goes in. What's going on here? What are you doing?
Ooh, the death sentence going down. Wingnut's probably going to go down. Solar Flare's enough to get the slow, but not the stun. Arike is going to flash out of it. Jared the Bear trying to come in, but just a little late.
Yeah, actually really wise there for Arike to not to rocket jump in. Actually does it now, but really wise for him not to do it earlier, since Jared the Bear would have come in and ended his life, as Korkel's trying to ignore them.
Oh, this is interesting. Arike is going to survive here. Jared the Bear tried to ult in, and it looks like he might die to the E from Tristana, and nope, Lolrabbit's auto with the Flay passive is just enough. This is, that was interesting. We'll just say that.
Wow, some serious damage there onto Feels Bardman. You got to feel his pain here, laning against the Azir, who has gotten a little bit ahead from the assist in the side lane. Nothing too exceptional, but just generally has been scaling up in levels and in items. It does feel pretty painful. Not sure why Arike just rocket jumped onto the dragon and took a bunch of dragon shots. Took a bunch of free damage there.
It's fine.
I mean, he definitely established dominance over this Earth Drake. I'm sure this Earth Drake feels very inferior to the small Yordle with a rocket cannon. Wingnut is going for the assassination here, though. It does look like Arike knows something's going on.
Get it! And it looks like Arike is definitely going down, but so is Wingnut. I don't see him getting out of this. The death sentence landing. I don't know why I'm surprised anymore.
Yeah, the death sentences do seem to be landing quite frequently from Lolrabbit as he's flying away Jared the Bear, but Feels Bardman coming in with the ghost.
Soul Invictus not following. Lolrabbit's dead here. Zenithblade is going to miss, but it doesn't matter. And Kid Clarkin's going to TP in, going to try, and looks like iWormy is going to match it. Kid Clarkin in the middle of 3, but Soul Invictus is coming in as well. Azir has a ton of AoE damage. It might be enough. Trying to go for the Shurima Shuffle. Knocks Wormy out of his own ultimate. Kid Clarkin somehow still surviving. Feels Bardman going down. So does Kid Clarkin, but that's a triple kill and nearly an ace.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big transfer over for Team Infamous. I mean, obviously, this is not the same level of early game lead that they were able to get last game, but it is still fairly large. And they probably are going to be taking out first turret here in the mid lane. Quarkles and Soul Invictus going to be able to take this out no problem. There is no way that Wingnut could have stopped that if he did come up. So that will be pretty nice for... pretty nice early lead here, over 4K lead, about 4.4K lead for Team Infamous. But at this point, still a lot of hope in the game for D2D. They definitely can still come back from this much of a lead.
Absolutely, doing much better at this point in the game than they were last time. So
yeah, it is nice to see that they're at least in competition this time rather than completely slaughtered as they were last time.
Yeah, as we say that though, Death Sentence goes down on the Wingnut. Not going to follow it up, but interesting fact: look at the bot lane CS. That is a 46 CS lead.
That is pretty large, and we're seeing a similar pattern to last game where every lane for Team Infamous does get ahead in some manner, even if it's not in an obvious one. Similarly, just to last game, the jungle matchup, you can see that Jared the Bear is not actually substantially behind the CS. In fact, he's ahead of Quarkles, but Quarkles, thanks to kills, team gold, and also, of course, the deceptive jungle CS, is actually ahead about 500 gold. So whether that's partially due to the extra turret and the extra global gold, extra kills, extra assists, all that sort of stuff coming together for Quarkles, but he is actually ahead gold despite being down in CS.
Yeah, then Kid Clarkin stealing away the blue there. Lolrev, it looks like he's going for a death sentence, trying to get it on the Wingnut, but Wingnut smartly using his Q to get away. Gonna reveal himself here. Maybe Lolrev will go for the death sentence now.
And as mentioned, we have seen the Morello Nomicon completion for Soul Invictus in the mid lane, so it does look like he will be going for that 40% CDR build, like I mentioned. Again, don't really think it's very good, but whatever floats your boat in terms of the Azir build. I'm sure there's all sorts of different crazy Azir builds people are doing these days since the most recent buffs, which I think were about 3 or 4 patches ago. Korko's getting rest on here, though.
Here by Jared the Bear. He's going to try and get the Blast Seed. Did he knock Jared the Bear into the pit?
Yes,
he
did.
Nice.
Lantern from Low Rabbit to get into safety, and he's out. And Soul Invictus has the turret spawned in the mid. The Sun Disc gonna be stopping any pushes here from Feels Bardman. That's gonna negate any pressure from the mid lane, and that does mean that any mid rotation that is gonna be on the map, Soul Invictus is gonna have the priority.
Yeah, this is I'd like to use a StarCraft term describing this. The proxy turret almost. Wait, that's still a league term. It's fine.
Proxy turret in your base, putting down the pylon. It's going to start making cannons. Turret. Yeah, the Manor turret going down. Yeah, we'll see if he's able to warp in some units with his gateways, but I kind of doubt it. Maybe Quarkles will show up with the
going
unseen
for the
predator
here.
Yeah, he's going for the 4 gate, going to be spawning a bunch of stuff as Low Rabbit going for a hook, and actually a flash blown from Wingnut. Not even waiting to see if the hook come out. He just flashes as he throws the hook. Nope, doesn't want any of that. Says no way. And
I know how this ends for me.
I agree. At this point, this is a very strong Tristana, and Tristana, even regardless of items, actually has quite high base damage on her ultimate, so she can execute people from a lot of HP with just that E, a few auto attacks, and her ultimate. So
Jared the Bear coming in.
Jared the Bear is here.
Dying. He looks like he might use his ultimate here, but a great 2-man knockback from Ari Kya. Wingnut using his spray and pray. The death sentence going down, and Ari Kya is going to take it out. Soul Invictus shuffling the 2 over the wall, and it looks like Leona trying to flash in. Barrier pop by Soul Invictus. Ari Kya is going deep, and he's not going to get the kill.
Yeah, he hit the turret there instead of Jared the Bear on that last auto attack. Not sure if Jared the Bear was in range, but either way, definitely a missed auto attack there from Arikia. So probably could have picked up an extra kill, but unfortunately, a little bit of a mistake there, but probably not going to end up amounting to much anyway, since Wingnut's not going to be doing much. We're seeing the Rift Herald here, a pretty uncommon buff to take, but when you are ahead like this and you do have free time, especially when Kid Clarkin has taken top turret and pushed in the wave so far, he's got plenty of free time, and Quarkle's, he's got most of his top side clear, so not going to be losing much off of this. So they can pick up the Rift Herald for Kid Clarkin, get lots of extra damage, get that damage reduction when he's in the side lane split pushing. And it is nice, especially since this is a damageless Olaf build. This is just the Dead Man's Plate, it looks like, into the Righteous Glory. So no damage items when you normally see the Black Cleaver on the Olaf top lane. But since he has no damage item, this Rift Herald actually will help him out quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that build, but I am no Olaf expert, so I'll trust in Clarkin's experience.
Well, I can tell you as someone that's played a lot of Olaf top in his day, the Black Cleaver is definitely the super high synergy item. But, of course, the Black Cleaver is a lot better into tanks than it is into other picks. Something like this Camille, you could even go other items into. What is that Solar Flare? Okay.
Those minions not getting away anytime soon.
Well, Jared the Bear is here, but I just, how much does that really matter when the Solar Flare is down and Arikia and Low Rabbit are playing super defensively? Low Rabbit's not even here.
Yeah, Rengar ultimate coming out, and Wingnut looks like he's going to be the first target as soon as he's revealed. Quarkle's going on to Jared the Bear. Spray and pray being dropped out by Wingnut, and it looks like a great 4-man ultimate from Soul Invictus. Sorry, possibly 3. Soul Invictus trying to go in here. Wormy going in. Quarkle's getting pretty low. Oh, the death sentence barely lands onto Wormy, and Soul Invictus is going to pick up the kill. It looks like Kid Clarkin is diving into the back of 3 of them, but it doesn't matter because he's full tank Olaf. Ooh, a great ultimate from Jared the Bear, going a little too deep. Low Rabbit going to go down to that Twin Fang proc. But that was almost...
Yes, so close to getting more than 1 kill off of that with the Cyclone there from Wukong, but only able to pick up a 1-for-1, unfortunately. Quarkle's very low, Soul Invictus very low, even Arikia pretty low here, so had that Cyclone last a little bit longer, had he been able to survive a little bit longer, probably could have picked up another kills. We're going to see Arikia going for the turret. Very aggressive there. Going to go down to Feels Bardman. A little bit too much there, for sure.
A little bit.
Bit of an overplay.
Just
Yeah, so
I
One
appreciate it, though.
advantage of this Kid Clarkin build is that he does have a lot of tank in it. So you could see in that last fight, he was able to tank the turret and just walk into the enemy backline for quite some time. So even though I don't think this build is particularly useful, like particularly good, since he could be so much stronger of a split pusher if he'd built some AD up or especially some CDR, which looks like he might be going for the Black Cleaver now. If he could be so much stronger split pusher. The team fights at this point, he is very effective with just the tank build. That is definitely something that has to be said for the build.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this item ordering, because on one hand, I personally would have thought to go Black Cleaver first, but on the other hand, if he still has enough damage, and he builds the damage item as soon as his damage stops being enough, wouldn't that work out? Ooh, Kid Clarkin going on to Wingnut while Low Rabbit is trying to defend himself. Wingnut gonna go down here, and Low Rabbit in backline. Korko's flashing in to try and get Jerry the Bear, but flashes onto the clone.
Yep, that nice decoy from Jerry the Bear, but Kid Clarkin probably going to be able to take out Phil's Bardman here, no problem.
It's the reverse Captain Jack, the Ragnarok, just as the CC comes out.
Yeah, that Ragnarok, very effective at dealing with these champions that rely heavily on their CCs, like Cassiopeia.
Jerry the Bear. He tried. Low Rabbit got pretty low. Next Eminence is trying too, but I don't think that was the right decision. And that's a free Infernal Drake for Team Infamous now.
Yep, another dragon going over, and they've had pretty good dragon luck in these games. This is they had a first-time mountain. The second dragon is going to be an Infernal going over to them, and they are sitting at a pretty substantial gold lead as well as these two dragons, even though they only have a 2-turret lead. Thanks to the high kill score in this game, and of course the big CS leads in every lane, especially the bottom lane for Team Infamous, they do have a very substantial gold lead at this point, almost 8K right now.
Yeah, it was, Spray and Pray being used to wave clear. I don't know if that's good. I wouldn't do it, but I'm not a very good AD carry, so.
Seems pretty bad. That Spray and Pray is a very important cooldown for your team, especially now that you finished that Runons. Even though you're very far behind this enemy Tristana, you have to say, oh, I need the Spray and Pray in case there's any fight breaks out in the next, I think 2 minutes is the cooldown at this point. It's fairly long. So we'll see. But Soul Invictus setting up this turret again, the Disc of the Sun in the middle of the lane here. Feels Bardman tanking a turret shot. Probably didn't need to do that. Soul Invictus getting a ward over the wall as well. And even though Soul Invictus is 1v2, thanks to his turret, he can feel pretty safe, especially since he's got Low Rabbit on the backside here.
Yeah, I'm just, Jerry the Bear, I think it's worth saying, has the right idea roughly. Just vastly overestimating his damage. As you see Wingnut doing the same, and Arikia just, he's like, oh, that's a funny looking minion. I guess I should kill it. And then suddenly he's like, oh, 300 gold. I guess it wasn't a minion.
Yeah, again, questionable decision making there, and again, questionable decision making here as well. Just definitely some questionable decisions in general. Again, feels Bardman trying to petrifying gaze the Ragnarok Olaf. What are you doing?
Is disgusting. This
Olaf is so big.
Jerry the Bear getting pretty low here. Might be able to take out Kid Clarkin. Kid Clarkin ghosting out though. Next Eminus, the only one alive for his team that's in the fight still. Wingnut is the other one. Soul Invictus gonna get some autos off. Gonna have to pop barrier. That was a nice quadra kill. Oh, Wingnut coming in with the Spray and Pray. Might get the triple kill here. And it looks like there's gonna have to be a banana juke out from Soul Invictus as Low Rabbit is the sacrificial, not lamb, but thresh. The sacrificial torturer. Arikia not wanting to turn this one, thinking, well, the turret's worth a little bit more.
Well, I think he could have just committed to that turret and get it, but he takes a safe play, does the short hop out, racket jump. I can respect that. So definitely taking the safe way, which is probably the correct path when you are this far ahead. So let's see how Arikia does shape up his build. He is sitting on about 2.3k gold, so could go for lots of different itemization here, as Jerry the Bear is going to go in on him, and he's going to...
Oh!
Whew. So blocking out that flash, both flashes traded, but Arikia is definitely going to survive with that knockback, putting it super far back.
So that is one of the most frustrating mechanics in League of Legends for me, and Tristana is just the epitome of it. Ooh, hold on, as Jerry the Bear almost goes down here. Input buffering. So anyone who doesn't know, on certain champions and certain abilities, just before a CC comes out, if you hit it even after the CC lands, like if you hit it before the CC completes, you can finish certain abilities. And that's what happened there. The flash and the E came in, but Arikia had already, I believe, tossed the ult before flashing, I think was what happened. But I know it happens a lot with W. with
Any
her rocket
ability
jump.
with a cast time on it, you can actually buffer the cast time. And so what happens is you get hit by the CC while you're casting the ability, and the cast time just continues, and then the ability continues as normal, which is what happened there for
Oh,
Arikia.
Laura with a heat-seeking death sentence, getting Jer the Bear, Wingnut trying to pop Spray and Pray, but Kid Clarkin on the backline killed Spardman, and next Evan is going down as well. But suddenly just 4 for none. The damage here from this team. I should not have questioned Kid Clarkin's build. Clearly he knows. Clearly he knows what he's doing.
I mean, at this point, he does have the Black Cleaver, and you could say maybe he could have probably split pushed a lot harder if he'd just gotten that earlier, but not going to end up mattering.
Oh, Wormy coming in, trying to get the Hextech ultimatum, but he's just going to go down there. Final kill for Sol Invictus. Deathless this game, actually, and that's going to be a 2-0 for Team Infamous again. D2Dance tried their hardest, and they had a fairly good showing in the early game, but just couldn't quite pull it out.
Yeah, definitely saw some improvement that game from the first one, which is really nice to see. The first game, of course, was a complete stomp, so it's hard to not see some improvement. But it was really nice that they did end up putting a lot more of a fight up in the early game. That it did feel like a lot of their leads just kind of got thrown away on some really questionable plays. Jared the Bear, for example, going up to gank Kid Clarkin at 200, 300 HP. What are you doing there? This is a strong Olaf who's going to go do that. The bottom lane just getting hit by these hooks over and over and over again. Some of the stuff that they banned, the pick and ban, a little bit questionable as well. I think maybe probably should have banned out that Thresh, which was so effective in game one. They just saw it, and they know that it's going to hit them with these hooks over and over and over again. But they end up not banning it, saying, hey, we can deal with it, and it turns out they couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, well, that's going to end the Showmatch series for tonight, and unfortunately for the rest of this session of Learning Fives. But it's not all bad news, everyone. N-Step, are you excited? Because next weekend is the tournament here. I believe it's every single team, not just the ones we've seen in the show matches, but the tournament. This is what these teams have been building up for these past 4 weeks. They've been training, working their little butts off, and we're going to see who is really the best at learning in multiples of 5. I'm excited.
Hey, I'm pumped for that. I'm gonna love to cast some of those games. I'm gonna love to watch those games, and I'm really pumped to see it. And what I'm most excited to see is not even just individual plays, but the macro plays that these teams have made. I've seen over the course of learning 5 show matches, I've seen a lot of development of these macro plays, especially stuff like smaller stuff like late lane swaps to the top lane. Some nice mid lane rotation, stuff like that. Like these really nice macro plays that these teams have been able to set up. Those are the kind of things that I like to see from learning fives, because that has nothing to do with your individual skill as a player, which is, obviously these players are not the best players in the game, but they still can do these really nice macro plays all over the game, and it's really cool to see that. And so I'm hoping we'll be seeing a lot of that stuff develop over the course of this tournament as well.
Absolutely. I'm super looking forward to it. That's next weekend. But for now, N-Step and I are going to have to sign out. I've been Nibiria. He's been N-Step. But if you want to keep up with the program, you can hit the follow button below. I believe the tournament will be starting next Friday. Don't quote me on that, please. But in case I'm wrong, which I very likely am, we actually have 2 ways for you to fact check me. We have the Twitter and the Discord channel, which are both in the description below the channel. And from both of us here, we would like to say thank you for joining this journey with us and enjoying this last show match cast of the Learning Fives. And we really hope to see you in the tournament. Have a great night.
Have a good one.